He discovers that his mother is in a relationship with his friend, and the problem is that he does not know how to act. The movie begins at the train station, and there are Jensen's father and mother hugging their spoiled son. They bid him farewell, and the children who were playing outside the school were making fun of him because he was carrying a large bag, and Johnson took out his glasses from his pocket and pulled out a map and used the map too. He knows his room in the student's house, and he is going to his room. The bag falls on a student coming out of his room, and he arrives at his room, and a very handsome boy opens it. He is his friend in the room, and he welcomes it. He also helped him put his bag in his private area, greeted him, introduced himself, asked him to call him by his real name, and asked him to call him by the name Escape Jensen was. I think that Escape is kind and friendly, but Escape told him that he was wrong when he said that he wears black lingerie and walks around outside school in it, and Escape wears red lingerie to convince him that this is a tradition from the school, and he said that new students wear this dress. And Jensen believed what he said and went out with him while he was wearing the clothes he borrowed from Escape, and the first time Jensen came out outside the building, Escape locked the door and left among the students in this uniform, and the students began to make fun of him and annoy him, and there was a picture to annoy him with, and Johnson came up to the wall and entered the room. The window of his room, and he saw Escape on the floor laughing at him, and Johnson was very annoyed with Escape, and Escape told him not to take the matter personally and that they were doing it. Every year, this year, you were the one who fell. At night, the guard went to check on the children and entered the rooms and asked them to turn off the lights. He asked the responsible boy that the children knew him. She smokes, but the boy ignores his orders because he also smokes, and Jensen can't sleep for the first day because of Escape, and the next day Jensen is going to break his fast and the students are starting to make fun of him. Escape took care and asked him to lie down with him, and Johnson started crying and the students laughed at him, and they all saw him crying and leaving the place, and Escape went to his room to check on me. Jensen Escape was shocked when he saw Jensen hanging himself and ran to bring the director and officials to see Jensen. When they arrived, they found a mannequin with his face attached to him. The manager had unkind comments written on him. Escape was shocked and the manager asked him to go over to him and his friend. Jensen came out of the closet and laughed at Escape and Escape at all. He was very astonished and told Escape the same thing he said to him when he made the prank, and the two of them kept laughing, and the principal scolded them when he left the office for what they had done while they were his enemy. It does not happen again, and the children decided to leave school and went to a liquor store and asked the seller for a bottle of drink, and they left the residence and preferred to drink, and I received an order from Jensen, said he didn't know anyone who would tell him now, and Jensen told him that Akseb knew that he had killed someone before, and Jensen didn't believe him at first, and Escape kept telling him the story. It was a long story that ended with him killing a person, and after he convinced Jensen of the story, Escape, after he confessed to him, asked him to tell him a personal secret about him. Jensen confessed to him that he cheated on the exam because he took the scholarship and regretted it at the time because he knew that Escape had deceived him to tell him his secrets, and they continued to laugh again. The day Escape told Jensen to introduce him to a girl and they would go out with them at night. Jensen was afraid that someone would see them, and Escape told him that no one would know, and at night Jensen told Escape that he was sick and that he would not be able to go out with him, and Escape thought that he was lying to him. He forced him to go with him, and they both got out of the window and got into Escape's Ferrari car, and Escape made a signal to the girls by imitating the sound of an animal, and the girls left. They got into the car and Escape was driving the car. The girls started talking about love, but Jensen felt sick to his stomach. The girls got out of the car. Jensen and Escape were on their way. To the teacher, Jensen told him that he was tired, and from time to time, Escape preferred to try new things with Jensen so that life would be interesting for them, and he convinced him to enter the dance community as AA secretary, and his enthusiasm for the topic told him that there were only 5 secretaries for 400 members. The next day, all the secretaries got out of the car, looked at the girls, and entered the meeting place to discuss the budget and other things related to the party. The girls said that they should wear clothes designed for the party, and Miss Brule asked a girl to bring sandwiches for the boys. The girl looked at Jensen and stepped back, causing the plate of sandwiches to fly through the air, and the room turned into chaos as the girl tried to grab everything around her too. She regained her balance, but things were flying out of her and the room was broken, and Miss Brule spoke to their manager and told him about the situations that had happened, and the manager apologized to her for what had happened. Because these words were a gift from the lady to Lorsfeld, the first lady in America, and the director scolded them for the problems they had made and prevented them from attending this year. the dance party, and he told Jensen that he would not enter the Fox field, and the boys disguised themselves to attend the dance party so that no one would recognize them and complain about them, and Escape was upset because Jensen was deprived for life. He went and gave him $100 and sneaked through the window and asked him to go to Chicago. Escape was disguised and carrying a large cross sign, and his friends. They were wearing animal clothes, and Jensen returned the money to Escape and told him that he had no energy to do exciting things that would end in problems like Escape, and Escape could not hear what he said. He was forced to go to Chicago. Then Escape ran away with his friends and left Jensen alone, and Jensen decided that he would not go and sit studying because he was afraid that the girl would not like him or make situations. It was embarrassing, but suddenly he changed his mind and did what Escape asked him to do. He arrived at the place and entered a bar full of many people, and people were looking at him, but he tried to act politely, but she continued to laugh at him as he put his foot on a chair to attract the girl's attention, but the chair broke and caused him embarrassment. But it was not enough because there was another girl who deceived him and made him know that she had tested his feelings and asked him to take a coin and put it on his eye and move it with his eyes closed. At that time, a woman saw him and the girl was laughing at him, and it seemed to the woman that he was beautiful. She noticed Jensen and approached him and showed him his face in the mirror and felt pity for him. When Jensen felt embarrassed, he decided to leave the place and return home while he was riding in the taxi. He stared at the glass and was surprised when he found the same woman, and she got into the taxi with him and they went to the roof of a building. He was surprised that she was going towards the edge of the building and Jensen was determined to. He ate the food and brought out a bill for $100, but the air knocked it from him, so he asked her to pay him the price of the food because he was hungry. Jensen was very nervous and had no thoughts in his head, but the girl, she started flirting with him while they were getting down in the elevator, and she stopped in the elevator in the middle of the building and started taking off her clothes and started stroking him, and they started making love in the elevator, and she also took him. She went to her house and there they made contact with each other, and in the student's house, Jensen's friends were worried about him because he had been late for a long time and had been absent for 2 days, and they knew nothing about him. Escape decided to say something. To the guard, he told Jensen to go to Chicago. At the door, he found Jensen in front of him and took out his pocket, as a kind of pride. After the students left Escape, he asked him to tell him. Jensen told him that he had a relationship with a woman in the mid-30s, and the first relationship was in the elevator and Escape. He admired Jensen and those who worked for him, and he fell in love with her. The bed was laughing, and Jensen's friends were excited to know more about Mrs. D, and his friend asked him about her appearance and body while they were in chemistry class, and Jensen told him. The woman they were asking about is a fashion designer. Her name is Elaine, and the guys who were bullying him continued to praise him and changed the way they dealt with him, and Jensen began to feel confident between them. His friends and Jensen went to Elaine again, and Escape asked him to tell her he was safe, and when Jensen left, he made love to her and Elaine slept, but Jensen couldn't sleep and the fetus came out. He picked a rose for Elaine. He had a lot of roses and put it on the bed. Elaine was amazed by Jensen's surprise for her. When she woke up, she found a lot of roses next to her and kept pecking them with love while he was sleeping. The next day, I introduced Jensen to the drinking trick she was doing, and I told him that it was called the double marquetry trick, but Jensen started to feel suffocated and suddenly raised his head and started coughing. Elaine offered him to drink water to wash his mouth, but instead of drinking, she sprayed him with water and raised a plate to reflect the direction of the water on her, while her robe and hair remained wet. He pulled her towards the bed, and at that time he looked into her eyes and confessed his love to her. Then we see them both sitting in front of the sea and talking about their relationship with each other. Jensen proposed to her. They don't understand the meaning of love, but it doesn't mean that they develop the relationship further and maintain their loyalty to each other, and Jensen tells her that they will meet again next week, and then she suggested to him that she go to Horse West to walk with him around his house, but he started to change and lied to her and told her that he was traveling for the week. He came to New York and then came back to school on the same day. Escape woke him up and asked him to go to church with him. He found out that it was late, and Jensen explained the lie he told Elaine, and he was afraid that she would know. Escape laughed and asked him if he loved her, and Johnson replied to him and said that all he was concerned about was giving a lecture to attend in New York. Then we would see Alan and Johnson in New York, and Escape was the one who paid him the money. On the street, they decide to change Jensen's clothes and enter a store and choose a nice jacket and a gray suit for Jensen and leave. Jensen in the changing room and left the old jacket for Elaine, and when Elaine left and walked away, he knew that she knew he was lying and that she knew his real identity through his card. His teacher and he started running after her while he was wearing the suit that he did not buy, and the owner of the store ran after him because he thought he had stolen it, and Johnson sees Elaine getting into the taxi. I walked in at night. We saw him sitting in the street alone in the rain, and a skip came in his car to drive him, with water running down his face, and he took him with him in the car to the house. While they were in on the way, Jensen told him about everything that happened, and Jensen was upset about what happened, and Escape was making fun of him, but Jason thought that he was laughing at him, and suddenly he broke the foundation of the room and escaped from the window of the room, and Escape ran after him and caught him and fell to the ground and tried to get over him. At this time, the manager woke up and saw everything, and the next day, Jensen got an answer. The first one he thought was an answer of exclusion or expulsion, and when he opened the answer, he found an acceptance letter to Harvard University, which he wanted to enter. Before that, Jensen was happy and returned to his normal state again. He and Escape agreed that they would celebrate all night, and the next day Jensen started talking to his mother and apologized to her that he would not know. He goes home during Christmas vacation because he was planning to spend time with Escape at his farm, and they began to prepare themselves and went to Escape's house to spend 2 days with the maid. Maggie received them, and Johnson was amazed by Escape's large house. He and Escape went up the stairs and took him to his room. The stairway was decorated with trees celebrating Christmas, and Escape performed it. Some instructions on how to deal with his father and mother, and Jensen heard from Escape's mother, who is still related to him. Escape hugged his mother and introduced her to Jensen, and she was shocked when she saw Jensen at her house, but she acted normal and that there was nothing strange, and she asked them to enter her room, and Johnson was also shocked that Escape's mother was Elaine, his lover, and Elaine locked herself in the room. Until dinner time, she decided to go have dinner with them, and she was sitting next to Escape, facing Jensen, while they were both silent. Escape was talking to his father, and Elena was drinking. She was behaving strangely, and they all noticed her behavior, and when she was alone with her husband, he blamed her for her behavior and asked her to behave appropriately in this house, and it was clear that their relationship broke down that night. Elaine went to Jensen's room to apologize to him, even though it was Jensen's fault because he lied to her, but Jensen got angry and asked her to go with them. Aiden and Maskeen, some of Escape was going to see them, but Jensen quickly closed the door before he saw them, and Elaine went out the other door and Escape took Jensen in a boat. Wooden and Escape are a story about the broken relationship of his father and mother. After that, the family went riding horses with Jensen, and Elaine asked Jensen to leave her house and Escape and Johnson. They returned to school again, and he was silent all the way because he could not imagine that the story he was telling his friends was Escape's mother, and he felt guilty, and the students suspected that there was something wrong with him. Investigations. One of the students saw an officer talking to the principal about conducting special investigations. He wanted the names of the students involved, so I called Jason on the landline, and Johnson asked her not to talk to him again and closed the fence in her face, but she asked him to meet him, and Johnson lied to his friends when they asked him who he was talking to, and one of the students broke into the room. While the officer was in the bathroom, he knew that he was coming to investigate the students who had prohibited items, and the boy went to his friends and warned them about what would happen, and the students left. Quickly, get rid of the prohibited items. The second day, the results of high school were announced to me. Escape saw his result and was very happy when he learned that he had passed. Escape went to Jensen and he was happy, and Johnson was by the phone waiting for Escape to call. He told Jensen the news and he was happy, but Jensen was not happy, and Escape told Jensen to have a party, and he refused. Escape and his friends decided to keep an eye on Jensen to find out why he had been acting strangely for 2 days after months of not answering unanswered calls. Elaine went to Jensen and Jensen got angry and asked her to stop talking. While they were talking, Elaine asked for a drink in her room and they went in for a relationship and an escape, and then he went to the same hotel. With his friends, they went to a room where Jensen entered. They knocked and said they were room service. Jensen did not know that they were his friends, so they opened the door and entered the room. They started to laugh at him, but Escape was shocked when he saw his mother was the one in the bed. He became angry, and Escape became angry at the place, and things became tense between Escape and Jensen. Jensen went after Jensen, but Escape walked in his car that night. Jensen was sitting outside school and thinking about how he would deal with his friend again. He gathered his courage and went to his room and tried to talk to him, but Escape refused to talk to him, and since then Escape lost his cheerful side and was silent all the time while his father was gone, and he knew that his mother was going to a psychiatrist, but he asked his father to stay away from him, and the next day the director told the students that the officer was coming to conduct investigations, and they all laughed because they knew, but they did not know, that the investigations were about. The students cheated on exams in order to get the scholarship, and Jensen gets nervous, but the investigator is suspicious of Jensen because his grades are higher than when he was young, and the investigator questions him some. Asking questions, Escape also got the answer to accept him at Harvard University, but I don't know Jensen, and Escape was annoyed by the investigation and made a mistake in the investigator, and he also beat Jensen because the one who saw him in the hotel and his betrayal kept pestering him all the time. Finally, his anger came out on Jensen and they started hitting each other in the woods, but after that they reconciled and the two of them reconciled. They walk together, feeling chivalrous and tired of being beaten, and they keep laughing, and here the movie ends. If you like the movie, like the video and subscribe to the channel. We waited for the next movie,